On today's episode, you're going to be taking a look at the Menhir of Malice. A menhir is a basically large standing stone. Towering overhead and made of glossy black obsidian, the Menhir of Malice is a frightening sight. Said to be a cursed place of darkness and torment, few dare to venture near its glossy edges. The structure has 5 sides that reach upwards to a single point. Marbled red veins run through the obsidian, pulsing a deep red, barely noticeable, but as if the stone were alive. The light near the menhir almost dims, and the air grows heavy, as if the menhir is made of pure evil and darkness. Despite the ominous feeling that surrounds the menhir, it seems to call visitors, drawing them closer, with a sense of madness that is almost impossible to resist. Itching in their mind to venture forth and lay a hand or weapon upon its smooth surface. It has power to share, but is it worth the price? So let's get into the mechanics. There's a roll mechanic, and there's kind of a couple options here. So when you lay a hand or weapon on the stone to imbue it with the menhir's power, your charges are set to 0. When you allow the menhir to channel power into your hand or weapon, roll 1d20 plus the number of charges that you have. So on a 9-, the stone does not transfer any power, but you can attempt again. On a 10 to 15, the object gains 1 charge, and you can attempt again. On a 16 to 20, the object gains 2 charges. You can attempt again. And finally, on a 21 plus, the object is overloaded with dark energy from the menhir and takes damage relative to the amount of charges it has. So not good. So you get a little bit of a risk-reward mechanic here. How far do you push your luck before you take damage or potentially destroy your weapon? So there's a note. It is up to the game master how much damage is received. This will depend on how damage is handled in your system. More charges means more damage. If you have enough overloaded charges, you could potentially destroy a weapon or kill a person. And objects of power. So a hand tainted by the menhir turns black as obsidian. When you touch a person or creature with an obsidian hand and channel malice into them, spend 1 charge. The target descends into a violent fit of rage as the madness overtakes them. They will attack everyone around them until they have been sufficiently calmed, a difficult task. To recover charges, spend an hour meditating and asking for blessings from the forces of madness and malevolence. A weapon marred by the menhir becomes a weapon of shadow, able to pierce the strongest armor. When you strike an enemy and spend a charge from the weapon, it ignores their armor, fitting through the cracks like the shadow it is. Killing a living creature with the weapon restores all charges. So another note, the game master will have to decide how this works within the game mechanics. Some games use armor for attack rolls, in which case spending a charge could make the weapon auto-hit, in the case of using like armor class. Otherwise, it can do additional damage. If armor reduces total damage taken, then this weapon would ignore it. So it just depends on how armor is handled in your system. But the blade or whatever weapon you use ignores armor when you spend a charge. So that is the Menhir of Malice. As always, you can find the text write-up of this on my Patreon page, along with all of the other shrines that have been released, along with a lot of other pieces that we have on the Patreon. There's a couple of Patreon exclusive audio files and my other digital releases, such as my I Know a Guy random tables. So you can go ahead and check those out. The I Know a Guy tables is also on the itch.io page for Dungeon Master Toolkit. So if you want to just go pick that up for $1, you can as well. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode.